Diyos marahay na aldaw po sa Indogabos. Welcome po sa second episode kan sa tuyang programa ang I Love You Sabado. Ngunyan po dakulang onra na makakaibahan niya to ang joven na Bicolana na nabistado niya to bilang chef. Pero saruman po siyang environmentalist, social entrepreneur, as in farmer. Ngunyan po makakaibahan niya to si Luis Mabolo. Good morning, Luis.
Hi, good morning.
Okay, so we have known you to be very active in your advocacies. You're also an entrepreneur.
Right.
Right now, you advocate for farmers. That you're
That's
very known about that. But how do you go about pursuing your passion, the things that you love, right now that we're under a pandemic?
Oh, for me, I think that when you really truly are passionate and you work on something that's extremely meaningful, the work continues no matter what, even through crisis. So for me, I'm currently doing a lot. So the Cacao Project, which is my social venture,
Yes.
it's still ongoing because it's essential work in food. And I do a lot of online speaking engagements. And a lot of things have transitioned online. Even being a chef, all my cooking demos are currently online. So I think it's an opportunity for us to be a bit more inclusive and allow more people to have access to information and attend online events. But for me, I think it's also stewardship and being able to continue a good work that is really aiming to help more people and build a movement.
Because right now, the youth of today, they're very passionate.
Right.
Actually, they're very much into social media. But then, since you cannot go out, there's things that you cannot do now that you can do before. So they're like looking for that passion, looking for that motivation to do what they love to do. What can you tell them, the youth of today, what should they do in order to not lose that motivation to pursue on their dreams?
Well, I think that especially this generation, we are one of the most driven generations. We have a lot of social awareness. And I think that's really important because we are also the most interconnected generation now. All the information that you could possibly get is at the tip of your finger. So of course, with that, there's some trade-offs. So of course, there's a bit of frustration. There's too many options or there's not enough options available. I think that young people now should just really, first of all, find a focus area. For me, I focus it on spirituality and serving creation and serving God. And young people need to recognize that they hold a really large responsibility in their work and what choices they make today. So I think it's take advantage of the fact that we have so many resources available to us, use it for something good and tie it into what you love doing. So if you love arts or if you love fashion or food, you can always tie a lot of advocacies or different things into it. And there's so many different boot camps and online courses you can get on social media, online, on Google, to actually build your skills and help you find that direction and purpose.
So you've talked about, because I have known you when you joined this show in one station. If I can name it, it's Junior Master Chef. I have known you through that. You're very good in cooking, but right now you have a lot of things that you also love doing. So do you still, you mentioned a while ago that you're still cooking. How are you able now to pursue that? That love for cooking, how has it gone? How has it improved? How's the development right now?
Well, I think that my love for cooking is what fueled me to get into agriculture and just social entrepreneurship because I just love food so much. And as I was growing up, I was becoming a culinary prodigy. I was working under the best chefs in different restaurants. And I realized that our food isn't just in a kitchen from a grocery store and you serve it on a table. There's a whole system behind that. There's farmers, there's logistics, there's technicians, packaging, design. And so it kind of got into my passion to actually explore into those food systems. And we realized that those food systems are deeply problematic and that there's ways to actually fix it. So now as a chef, I continue advocating farm to table food. I continue talking about where our food comes from, our produce, valuing the work of our farmers and how magical it is that soil, water, and air can come together to make really delicious meals. And also now that we're online, I can actually share that message to more people who normally wouldn't be able to meet me in person. So through whether it's cooking demos, online Zoom cooking classes, and I also work with a kitchen brand to help develop recipes and show and highlight Filipino recipes and Filipino ingredients.
Can you share with us, because you mentioned it, what social media platform, where can they follow you so that they can follow your cooking demos, those sort of stuff?
Oh,
Where can
definitely. I think everyone can follow me on Facebook at Luis Mabulo or
actually
Chef
following
Luis.
you already.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm also currently on Instagram at LuisDG Mabulo and Twitter on at Luis Mabulo. And I have a website too, which is luismabulo.com.
Okay, actually, I can ask that the latter part, but I might forget. So there, follow Luis Mabolo. Like just like you, I'm already following her, and it's very, very educational. Not just about culinary stuff, but all about your advocacies. So the one that's very familiar, your project right now, that's very famous, is your cacao project.
That's right.
Wherein there are 200 farmers who were able to plant, if I'm not mistaken, 70,000 trees the first time you did it.
Right.
In 7 hectares. But how did it start? Because I'm fascinated with this love that you have for the farmers. Where did that love for farmers and that love for environment come from?
Oh gosh, looking back, there's no specific point. I mean, I really love farmers and environment. Growing up in the UK, you know, farmers were a very dignified, well-respected industry. But here in the Philippines, there's a very different idea of who farmers are. So when I moved here, it was new to me that there's these stigmas that exist surrounding farming.
True.
But when I was looking for investments after I finished Junior MasterChef and finished this television show, I was looking for different ways to invest, and one of them that I found was in growing cows.
Wow.
And I decided to start growing cows, selling them.
Really?
And I realized, and there was like a 200% return of investment.
Yeah.
In Bisna, I would invest in stocks or in different, I don't know, whatever it is you invest in. I realized that farming was actually a larger return of investment for a lot of little input. And then I continued on with it. I realized that it was great, and I learned how, you know, our farmers actually grow things, and learn a little bit from them through actually being on the ground and experiencing it. But then after some years, I realized that we have these typhoons that hit us. So the Cacao Project was born after Super Typhoon Nocten, when I realized that, you know, 80% of our agricultural land was destroyed here in San Fernando. And if we continued in the way that we were going, considering climate change, considering our yearly typhoons, that farming would no longer be profitable for farmers, and we're losing harvest because of soil degradation. So we need to have a new model that's more holistic, that teaches farmers about the whole food system, from, you know, from planting everything, the accounting, the financing, inventory behind that, and also finding a market. So the Cacao Project began as a typhoon relief effort, but then it was realizing that we couldn't have a band-aid solution. It had to be a more long-term, ongoing, sustainable solution to these problems.
So how are you able to find these 200 farmers? Did you like search for them? You went to their homes, or did they approach you? How did it start?
So we started off with some programs about training, and maybe like it started with maybe like an initial 40 or just a couple farmers, but then it just grew because they realized that other farmers were making more income by diversifying, by applying new techniques, by being more conscious of their market and how they plant, when they plant. So I guess farmers would slowly just get interested, and then of course there's a bit of outreach from people that we're working with, and from our Department of Agriculture, we can outreach to farmers who need these programs more importantly. So 200 farmers who have probably at some point received training, received inputs, and they're all wonderful people.
You know what's very, the thing that I admire most about this project is that it's like you're partnering with them.
Yes.
They need not work for you or for anyone, but you're like partnering with them. So like you're growing together, they grow together. Kumbaga, the earnings that they have, parang, alam mo yun, yung parang, ano sila motivated sila. They're inspired to do their job because they know that they're not working for anyone else, because they're like your partners.
That's right.
But what struck me most when you said na, kasi dito sa Philippines, yung mga Pilipino, some of us view farmers as, okay, hindi natin na-appreciate that they're the ones who are actually feeding us.
That's right.
Sila yung mga, without them, we wouldn't have rice to eat. We wouldn't have these vegetables on our table. So yung pinaka na-strike ako, and it's very admirable, was when you said na through these projects, you aim that we Filipinos will view farmers as common people, just like us, na parang we will look at them in a higher parang light, yung mas magandang pagtingin. So it's very admirable. But can you share with us further about that, what you said?
Oh yeah, definitely. So here in the Philippines, we see farmers as associated to, into being in a lower class, having a low income. And it's really problematic because across the world, I mean, it happens in the global south, but in the global north, it doesn't happen. Farmers are just like, it's a regular job in a regular industry. But here in the Philippines especially, if you say, for example, in schools that you're a failing student, sasabihin na mangangamote ka or pupulutin ka sa kangkungan. And these words are kind of like, it associates that farming is associated to failure. And so it's a deeply rooted cultural stigma that we constantly suffer now. Our teachers, our students, even some parents, and even I have actually been guilty of that. But now we want to change that. We want to show that farming is a very high earning, well-respected trade. It's powering our economy. It's a backbone of our country. And that farmers need to be well-respected. They need fair pay. They need to be fairly treated. And we need to change the image surrounding farming. Not necessarily like, yes, we want to make farming cool, but we also have to change the way we farm before it can be cool because it's currently unsustainable. So we have to change the model that farmers are in so that they can be personally empowered to uplift themselves. So with the Cacao Project, it's my social venture, yes. And I don't want to call farmers a beneficiary. They're a partner because farmers have always been viewed as a beneficiary to programs. And I think it's not great to constantly view them as victims to something.
That's true.
They're actually earning, they're entrepreneurs in their own right. They're amazing people who are powering our economy, feeding us. They need to have that sense of independence and self-assurance and security as we move forward in these models and in our food system.
So how is your Cacao Project going so far? Any development right now?
Oh yes, so I think this past week has been really successful.
Really?
So this week was our second week of our Farmer Field School. We've partnered with our Department of Agriculture and there's quite a couple industries. We also have the Department of Trade and Industry who is helping us build these training programs and teaching farmers about, from seed all the way to a chocolate bar and growing cocoa, helping them with their own personal finances and formalize their own farms and businesses. So that's really wonderful. So this is the second week in a 15-week program. I think it ends sometime in December. And it's really exciting because then the farmers have something to look forward to every Tuesday.
And that's every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, that's right. And now we're also going to launch, I think it's on the 24th of September, another Farmer Field School on vegetable growing with a special skill in cocoa. And I think, last month we were also able to launch our chocolate processing facility, which is in partnership with DTI.
So from cacao, you process those cacaos into chocolates and then you sell them?
That's right. You can sell them at any point, whether it's from the seedling to the pod to the wet bean to the dried bean. It's up to the farmers how they want to get through with it. But also we're helping them consolidate at the dried fermented bean stage. And if they want to make their own chocolates, we have the facilities and the equipment that they can use to make it.
Okay, so you have factories for that. Do you provide them with the things that they'll need?
It's a small processing center, not quite a factory yet. Hopefully one day we'll have a chocolate factory. But we do have the resources. They have melangers and all of these like kind of machines to process the seeds and remove the skin. So it's really exciting.
So while listening to you, I'm sure the listeners and the viewers on Facebook, because we can be heard on radio and on Facebook, and on YouTube also. So those listening to us right now, I believe they're also interested to join. Are you still open to accommodate more farmers, or in the future will you be open to accommodate farmers from all over Camarines Sur or even Bicolandia?
So yes, we are open. At the moment, we're focusing on San Fernando because we want to show that, this is what we're doing. This is how much we're succeeding. And we have a pulse on what we're accomplishing across the town. But over time, we want to include more farmers. If you are across like maybe Bicol or Camarines Sur, you can definitely join our trainings every Tuesday and probably sit in. That's definitely an option that's open to everyone.
So watch out for that. Yes. To all our viewers and listeners, watch out for that. Because I'm sure there are a lot of farmers listening to us right now that because of the pandemic, they don't have the resources.
Right.
They're losing the hope for them to continue with what they're doing. Right now, just very briefly, because we have heard this like a month ago.
Right.
I've read this on the news, even on here and nationwide. It's been released. But there are a lot of stories going on na lumalabas. So, just from you, if you can share with us briefly about what happened with Nos Daily's Nuseryasin and with what has transpired, if you can just share briefly to us what truly happened during that time, how it transpired, and the development on the request you filed, because I believe CHR went here and then requested that you file a request. Can you briefly share with us, walk us through what happened?
Well, yeah, with the Nas Daily issue, you know, it was really in more of a defense for Apawang Od in our culture.
Yeah.
So if you really want to see the whole story, I've written most of my piece on Facebook, and it's not an attack on anyone. It's more of a call to action for Filipinos
That's
to protect our culture, and really look after what is ours, yung sariling atin, and protect especially the most vulnerable groups in our country.
That's true.
In terms of CHR, a private citizen sent to them a kind of a request to investigate into what was going on with the NAS issue. So they came here, and one of the recommendations was, of course, to file a request and some paperwork and documents about what really happened. So right now, it's in terms of development, it's currently with the Department of Foreign Affairs, and it's being processed and under review. So that's, I think, something that people could look out for once DFA does release a statement on it.
Thank you very much for that. Kasi kailangan din malaman ng mga tao that the real objective of you filing a request is to, kumbaga, protect. Protect yung mga sectors na hindi masyadong nabibigyan ng boses.
That's right.
Hindi nabibigyan ng tamang platform. Because we know you. Like, since you were young, we have known you already. So it's like, if you speak up for them, people will listen, and so we admire you for that. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Especially for our kapwa Filipinos who cannot speak for themselves. I really admire, kasi nung young ka pa, parang you're jack of all trades, if I may say, right?
Right.
You're a chef, you're an environmentalist, and then you have these advocacies na parang you even host right now, right?
Yes, I currently
you do host. So, pero dun sa pagiging environmentalist, where did it start? Nung bata ka pa ba, parang you have this fascination already? I'm sure sa cooking, oo na, kasi nung young ka pa, you already cook. But then, where did your fascination sa environment natin and yung drive mo? Kasi right now, we need young women and men, young leaders, to actually have this love for the environment. So just to inspire them, how did your love for the environment start? And how do you hope that our young generation would do the same thing? Yung malove yung environment and actually do projects, even no matter how small.
Right.
Start young. How did you do that? How did you start young and start advocating for these very beautiful projects?
Oh, yeah. It's hard to say. I mean, I really grew up being in nature, loving environment. I go camping with my parents when we were in the UK. And when I moved back here, it was my first time to see amazing, lush flora and fauna that's properly wild, not even like tamed. But the thing about that was, I think it's not necessarily just limited to the environment. It was also a sense of being really empathetic to what's going on around me. When I was like 9 years old and I first moved to the Philippines, it was my first glimpse of true poverty. Because I grew up in the UK, it's utopia. Like, you know, everyone, even if you're not well off, you would have government housing and food and like a pension.
It's so beautiful there.
It's very...
It's also beautiful here.
It's beautiful here. But, you know, it was the first time I saw true poverty for the first time. And I was crying as a little girl, and I used to fundraise so that, you know, and I saw kids on the side of the mountain here in San Fernando, they had no shoes on.
Really? You did a fundraising when you were still...
Even I was 9 years old.
Oh, really?
And I decided to help out then. And I think ever since, you know, seeing any form of injustice it just really hurt. Because I come from a privileged background. I'm very lucky. I grew up in the UK. My parents, they were both working. And I couldn't stand not being able to do something and using the platform that I had. And same goes with the environment. It's heartbreaking to see that, you know, when I was younger, I would see so much lush flora, fauna. But because of soil degradation and typhoons and the after effects where people would deforest land, I've seen over a span of just like a decade how much is lost. So I think that it's important that we recognize how not just like our responsibility in holding people accountable and in protecting that, but also like just acknowledging the fact that this is there. That something can be done about it, even just a small action, and that no matter who you are, even if you're like 9 years old, what I used to do is I used to go to my homeschool provider in Manila and fundraise and ask people, can you donate shoes, clothes, backpacks? And that was what I did when I was 9.
Even when you're still young.
Yeah, when I was still young. And I have a lot of friends who are also, I guess, as privileged as I am. It's building equity for others. And eventually with like the Cacao Project, it didn't begun as a big project. It began as a typhoon relief effort. I asked people on Facebook, can you donate seeds, like vegetable seeds? And people did. And eventually it was a matter of applying for grants or pitching this idea to people who cared about it. And that's how it grew. So it doesn't have to be big. It can be small. You can start with helping one person, your neighbor, your neighborhood, your zone or barangay, and that makes all the difference already.
So it also helped that you have very supportive people around you, right? So for the young ones, they also they have to surround themselves with people who also support the same advocacies and the same projects. Pero balik tayo dun sa pagiging jack of all trades. How do you do that? How are you able to do things na parang hindi masyadong related to each other, but you're still able to pursue them?
Yeah, for being a jack of all trades, I guess it's because I was homeschooled. Yeah. So I was taught astronomy and going out and looking at the stars, grocery shopping for the week, and learning about the science of food and everything. So I think I was taught about everything to be more intersectional instead of thinking of them in silos, like, oh, this is a class for that, this is something for that. It was all kind of melded into each other. So in terms of being a chef, right, it's for food production, which is the same as being a farmer. It's food production too. So it's actually quite connected in terms of hosting. Usually the topics I host about are environmentalism and topics I really care about. The things that I love. So it's easy for me to host because I can easily talk about it. And in terms of like being a social entrepreneur, I realized that you really need to be a jack of all trades. You need to know finance, you need to know how to manage people, you need to know about business models. And a lot of that was skills that I did cultivate as being a chef because I learned about, costings and finance and cooking. I learned about all of these things. So I realized that a lot of tasks, even if they look different, they actually cut across each other. And lessons that I learned from one thing can be applied to another. Even in sports, like if for me, I learned about following through, about perseverance and endurance. And that's something I need in cooking because if I'm going to be cooking for 500 people for a whole day, I need that kind of like perseverance and strength as well, and stamina. And the same thing goes across different industries. So I think it's advantageous to be a jack of all trades. It was an advice that my mentor gave to me because he said that, it's one thing to be a master of one, but it's a good thing to be kind of a master of a little bit of everything. Because in the end, you can actually draw from the experience of another
you can be
skill.
Of help to more people.
Right, exactly. Right. You can be of help to a lot more people.
Yeah. So right now, because actually I need to read this because there's a lot.
There's a lot of questions.
But just 3, no. You have received awards such as United Nations Young Champion of the Earth,
that's right.
National Geographic Young Explorer, and 50 Next Changing Producer, Young Southeast Asian Leaders, Forbes Initiative, and the one at Forbes, 30...
Forbes under 30.
Yeah, under 30 under 30.
That's right.
Just to name a few, okay? Just to name a few. So you've received a lot of awards. You will answer this when we come back after the commercial break. But my question is, did you expect for these awards? Are the works that you do geared towards having those awards, or are these just bonuses? And how do you feel receiving these awards? Luis will answer that when we return. Diyos Maraynaldo Puliwat, nagbabalik kita sa satuyang programa, ang I Love You Sabado, kay Bahan Taman Giraray si Luis Mabolo. Hi, Luis.
Hello.
Kanina, ano na tayo, no? English.
English eh.
Okay. So, before we paused for a break, my question was, because you have received a lot of awards, and I'm hearing that you are about to receive another one come November. So, and we're excited about that.
Thank you.
Abangan ko talaga yan. So, my question is, kapag ba nakaka-receive ka ng awards, how do you feel? And when you do projects, are you parang looking forward? Well, I think I know naman na the answer, pero are you looking forward to having awards when you do things, or parang bonus na lang yan? And how do you feel when you receive such awards?
Oh yeah, when receiving awards, parang I think it's just something on top. Like it's a cherry on top. It's not like I don't expect awards. I don't go out to like reach for awards. When I was in culinary and I was like competing in competitions, I think that was the goal. But now, in the work that I do, it's just really a bonus, not really something that I aspire for. And if I do receive it, the feeling is immeasurable. I think for me, it's a matter of bringing pride to the people here and also validating the work that, these institutions saw exactly how valuable our work is, how it's really helping people. They come here, they see it, they meet some of the farmers, and I think that in itself is really validating and helps our mission. Din na nakikita nila that it's showing people that farming and food production is actually a very important trade, and it needs to be revolutionized.
Yeah, amongst those awards, alin yung pinaka close to your heart? Yung masasabi mong, oh my God, yung parang naiyak ka talaga. I'm sure all these awards are very special, pero alin doon, if you can name one, which one is very special sa'yo?
Oh gosh, I can't name one! Kaso sa akin, like, yung pinakaunang big award ko was the UN Environment Program's Young Champion of the Earth. And siya yung pinakamataas na honor na makakuha mo for environmentalism, especially for young environmentalists. So for me, that was napaka-big deal niya kasi they flew me to New York. They came here first. They met a lot of the farmers. They filmed everything. They flew me to New York, and then it was star-studded. I got to meet like Alec Baldwin and a lot of these celebrities, and it was a big deal. Pero the other award that was like amazed ako na nangyari was to be on Forbes magazine.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, when I was 12, I always sang, like, Bruno Mars' song, the I Want to Be on the Cover of Forbes magazine, and that was like a dream of mine. Na hindi ko naman akalain it would be true until last year that I was on the cover of Forbes magazine in the middle of the pandemic. So, napaka-huge honor yun sa akin. And then I guess the 50 Next Game-Changing Producer, I remember yung mga mentors ko nun were all recognized by 50 Best restaurants. And I thought, wow, that's such a huge award. And now I was recognized by them then. I thought, I think I feel like I've made it. Well, not quite yet, but I feel like I'm getting to that position where I want to be. And these awards are really are helpful with that.
Yeah. Actually, yung isa pa sa nakaka-admire sa'yo, because you're only 23.
Yes, I'm 23.
But you're so full of wisdom. I'm learning a lot from you.
Thank you.
And actually, ang gusto ko lang talagang itanong sa'yo, sa dami ng awards, recognitions, sa lahat ng mga nagawa mo na at such a young age, how are you able to, have your feet on the ground, being so grounded, being so accommodating when we come here, you were all smiles, because that's, I think, what young ones need to learn today. Na to keep yourself grounded, because we are to achieve a lot of things. But how are you able to do that? Na to keep your feet on the ground and still to aim, so parang aim bigger when you have actually achieved a lot of things already, but I can see that fire in your eyes na parang marami ka pang gustong ma-achieve. Where is that motivation coming from? Bakit ganun ka motivated and inspired?
Oh gosh.
Ang daming tanong.
So yeah, but very flattering din. Pero sa akin, I think, we're all equal in the eyes of God.
Yeah, that's true.
It's I don't think that anyone can claim hierarchy or supremacy. You could be the president or you could be the most important person in the world, but to God we're all equal. And more importantly, parang
I love that.
if you realize that you're not living for yourself, because I've tried to be selfish, I've tried that and it doesn't work. If you live for yourself and you live for example, just your own pursuing your own career and success, parang it's not fulfilling, and it also does not complete your mandate. Yung sinabi ni Lord sa atin that we have to help others, we have to bring others up. So for me, that's really the motivation to get forward and to do good things. It's because my success, I try to tie it with the success of others, which is I think the most important thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people aspire to do that in building their own careers, but along the way it gets lost. So I think that's really important. And I guess for young people then, young people also have an opportunity to do great change kasi napaka well connected natin. We have a lot of opportunities. It's just a matter of acting on it and doing what God wants us to do and honoring our elders, our parents.
That's true.
And I think that comes in the process.
You're speaking about God na parang yung nakaka-inspire siya. Actually, my first guest sa program ko was Archbishop.
Right.
And parang ikaw yung second na in-interview ko. And you speak about God from the heart talaga. So, siguro yung question ko, how are you able to continue being close to God, being spiritually active, siguro, being being close to God despite you being busy? How are you able to do that?
Oh, wow. I think it's recognizing that in everything you do, si Lord lang talagang kasama ko. And
Totoo.
with the platforms that I go to
Yeah.
the UN, I speak to like high-level individuals and politicians and
Right.
ministers. Pag ganon, and I'm only like 23 years old, you realize that it's not my own like
Yeah.
capacity. Talaga si Lord he's the one carrying me through. Sa kanya talaga lahat. And also the fact that it's not really it's being spiritual. Yes, it's praying, and it's maybe it's going to church. But I think the more important thing is my personal relationship ka
That's
sa Panginoon. And for me, it's like if I feel anything, if I'm worried about an upcoming talk na feeling ko I'm really underqualified,
Yeah.
I'll pray to God, and siya yung nagbibigay sa akin ng wisdom and insight. And not to be like a preacher, pero
That's true.
I think so. And if you go look in the Bible, there's over 365 promises in the Bible, thousands of promises. Ang dami niyang promises na I will bless you, I will keep you, I will give you hope in the future. So sa akin, parang kiniklaim ko lang yun na, Lord, sinabi mo to, binigay mo to sa akin, I must fulfill your will. I'm doing this all for you. So, ikaw, Lord, ang magbigay sa akin ng insight and wisdom, and then ikaw na, Lord, magsalita through me, because if it's just me, I won't be able to say the right things.
That's very beautiful. I'm awestruck.
Yeah. Parang ginawa akong best friend si Lord.
Yeah. Okay, so kanina na-mention natin yung about these awards.
Right.
So, to whom do you offer these awards? Parang, whenever you look at these awards, sino yung una mong naiisip?
Okay, actually, there's three. First of all, it's God, because of course, all of it's done for His glory. But second of all, to my parents. I mean, the commandment is honor their mother and father so that all will be well in your life.
love that.
And it's the only commandment with a promise, so that all may be well. Because everything is like, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt do that.
Yeah.
But the only commandment that has a promise is honor their mother and father so all will be well. So I always say that everything I do is to honor mom and dad as well. So sa kanila ko din ino-offer. Usually if I go abroad and I get an engagement, like a speaking engagement or an award or anything, I usually take the award and I give it to my mom and dad the first thing I arrive, so that they get to look at it and because all I have is because of them. I'm very privileged. Napaka-supportive nila,
That's
which is
true.
not common for parents. And I went into agriculture, which normally parents will say, "Wag kang pumunta sa farming." So my parents are very. I think they deserve a lot of their honor and respect.
Actually, I've witnessed that. When we came here,
Yeah.
I have witnessed how close you are with your parents, and we give all the we give the credit to them also for raising such a wonderful woman. I'm not saying this just to flatter you, but really, I'm learning a lot from you. How many minutes are we talking? Just like 30 minutes? But I'm already learning a lot, not just about your advocacies, but also spiritually. So, I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of young people right now are listening to us. And because of the pandemic, we have already mentioned a while ago, it's like there's a stop to what they love to do. They can no longer see their classmates, their friends. Like right now in Naga City, there's every weekend you cannot go out. There's an ECQ there. The future is not promised right now.
That's
We are
right.
not sure what's gonna happen in the future, and so there's anxiety. Am I still gonna be able to pursue my dreams? What's your message for the young ones? How can they still pursue their dreams? I'm sure you have mentioned this already a while ago, but siguro just to share kung paano mo nagagawa pa din na just for the young ones,
Yeah.
just to pursue their dream amidst na parang yung pandemic ngayon.
Yeah, I think I say this to a lot of talks, and I'll say this now because I think it still holds true. There has never been a time of crisis na dumaan where nothing changed. Every single time a time of crisis comes, whether it's a pandemic, a disaster, it's always been parang a breeding ground for change na may magbabago and always for the better. So dark ages come out of a renaissance. And so I think that for young people, know that failure, crisis is part of the process. It's a part for you to develop character and grit and transformation. And also the fact that, where was I in my, here. The world is a terrible place. And, on top of the pandemic, we have a triple planetary crisis. So the triple planetary crisis is soil degradation, plastic pollution, and climate change. So we're seeing a very bleak world ahead. All of the reports and scientific reports show that there is very little hope for young people. So our anxiety is valid, but as a person in this generation, if the world is a terrible place, don't be the one to make it worse.
That's true.
So do a small thing to make it just that much better, and that's my goal, to do a little thing that makes it a little bit better every day. And I think that should be everyone's goal. It doesn't have to be like a massive award.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like winning a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
It can be like helping your friend, being a helping hand, listening to someone. And I think that makes all the difference now that everyone's going through a collective time of crisis.
That's beautiful. So it's like if your focus is not only on yourself,
Yes.
but if your focus is on helping other people, then parang malaking bagay na yun. So
That's
you have achieved a lot already. So young ones, that's our goal, okay? Don't focus on ourselves. Focus on being of help to the community. So actually, with this interview, we have already learned a lot. Me personally, but if just a message to the youth, kasi ngayon papalapit na yung election,
Yes.
2022, and I feel like this is the time na young ones like you, ano yung masasabi mo para sa mga youth of today? Ano yung mensahe mo para sa kanila? Lalo ngayong panahon that we are facing a pandemic and we are nearing election 2022.
Oh, I have a lot to say, but I think first of all, if you're a young person watching, register to vote, which is very important.
That's right.
Elect a godly leader, because
Yes.
really do research into the leaders and what they do, and don't trust just what you see on social media, because of course there's a lot of misinformation and it's easy to have biased views. So have a more holistic view. Pag nag-research ka, really look at all sides of it. And I think another thing that's really important, I say this to a lot of people and it's very controversial, is you're not entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to your informed opinion. So before you actually share something or make a decision or even vote someone, make sure na informed ka muna and do a lot of research. Because I think that now information is so accessible to everyone.
That's true.
But also the ability to share information, whether it's true or not, is too accessible to people that it can be unethical. So important din na mag-research ka, understand where things are coming from, and look into the leaders. If you can reach out to them and interview them yourselves and ask them like, what is your priority areas? And I think that's really important. So elect godly leaders, I think, is the most valuable thing. Especially for young people, don't underestimate your power.
That's
Because we can do so much. All of the greatest movements are usually fueled by youth opinions and youth movements. I think that that's something we need to look into.
So message for the youth. What can you say to them, having achieved so much? I'm sure they're gonna be inspired by you.
Yeah, I think as a young person, just go out there and take action. And also, honor God in everything you do. You know, I remember something from the Bible is that Jesus was in his early 20s when he actually, you know, he became our savior. And so it means that as a young person, there's a lot that you can achieve in your early years. And I think that it's not something that you should take for granted. Ang dami nating magagawa with all the platforms and resources available to us, even just social media and internet connection. But please use it for good and take responsibility and be a steward for creation.
Thank you so much, Luis. Thank you so much for
you.
your time. Thank you for this opportunity to get to know you better and to learn a lot from you. So, ladies and gentlemen, yan po si Luis Mabolo na nakaibahan tangon yan sa satuyang episode, second episode. Sarong dakulang onra po na makaibahan ta siya. Tadakol kitang nanodan. 23 years old pa lang po siya, pero dakulo na siyang na-achieve sa iyang buhay. Lugod, maging inspirasyon yan para sa to, na dawa anong edad yaon kita, perming may pag-asa, perming may paglaom, asin dakol kitang maggigibo kung nakafocus kita sa pagtabang sa kapwa, bako lang sa satuyang sa diri. Liwat po, ako si Antoinette Eduardo. Mag-iribahan po kita liwat sa susunod na semana. Digdiyo sa I Love You Sabado. Thank you.